We got the tea, and apparently we're doing this. So let's go.
Semi podcast. It's like a podcast, but like
Got
not
some good
really.
stuff. Mint and honey. Mm-hmm. Y'all know we're about to dive in some things that'll get serious in a while. But yeah, so as you've heard from the intro, you are now watching or maybe hearing or listening to the Semi podcast. Now, first of all, I know what y'all are thinking. What on earth is Semi podcast? Well, funny enough, I go by the name of AJ Semi on YouTube. You guys might think that, Semi podcast because of AJ Semi, but actually, it's pretty self explanatory. It's pretty self explanatory as well because it is like a podcast, but like not really like a formal podcast because I don't really do anything that's formal, I think. um so yeah, semi podcast is where we're going to talk about all the things, anything under the sun. Hopefully this will be followed by a lot more episodes. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And I just really wanted to build a safe place for me and for all of you guys. I want to talk about controversies, issues, conversations that should be had, like stuff that people are so conscious of talking about. I want to start conversations like that. It's just basically I just really wanted an outlet. Yeah. And why I did semi podcast and why I thought of doing a semi podcast because I have been making videos on YouTube and they are not short. They are like 15 minutes long, way too long for YouTube, I think, because my talkative self do not think that 10 minutes is ever enough for all the things that are going through my head because my mind is quite all over the place and thoughts are all scattered and 10 minutes or so just wouldn't suffice. So why not do a podcast wherein you can talk about things for like an hour and people will most likely not listen, but hey, I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. And also, I want to have a conversation with you guys. I think this will be like a really good outlet for you and me. This will be a really good place for you guys to share stories and whatsoever. Because I really do have like a lot of ideas for this, but we'll see in the coming months if we are really going to follow through this. Now, y'all might be wondering, so now you have like a podcast going on. When will we see episodes? Well, to be honest, just like my YouTube videos and my posts on socials, I honestly don't know. I don't have like a schedule to follow. I am not in the best place to have like a regular routine. I have, I have never been in a good place to have like a specific routine. But you guys must know that I will be uploading the video version on YouTube and the clips and updates about or highlights of the podcast will also be uploaded on my Facebook page. Yes, I have a Facebook page now. Well, now as you're listening to this, I must have like an FB page, but as I'm talking right now because you know what? I'm already blabbering. But you know, podcasts should be uploaded on Spotify, but I searched on how to do that and it's quite complicated, I think. You need so and so for you to be able to upload it and have it like an official podcast on Spotify. So I don't know yet if I'm going to be able to do that. But you know what? Screw it. We're going to do this because I owe this to myself. I cannot wait any longer. I cannot overthink things any longer. So we are doing this. Oh my God, like 5 minutes and I'm already like salivating and like snot is coming up on my nose. Hold on, let me just sip a tea. Mm-hmm. All right. So I have like this notebook because I know my mind is not at its best state and thoughts are going to be all over the place. So moving on, the main thing that I want to talk about in this podcast is mental health. Now, mental health, two words that is so big on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. It is literally everywhere. Yet somehow people still don't understand the idea of it. Even I don't 100% understand like all the things, all the factors involved in mental health. And if you're someone I know personally, you would you would have noticed that I've been missing in action for quite a while. I have online businesses and I haven't been really active in posting and updating, and I do vlogs and content on YouTube, sometimes on TikTok, and I haven't really been that active even on Instagram or Facebook. I haven't been posting for a while, and there's a reason for it. Oh my gosh, this is hard, like talking for a straight hour. Going back, the main reason why I'm quite MIA in the past, like 2 months, I think, 2 months or so, is because I have been diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. While saying that out loud and knowing that this will be uploaded on like social media and people will see this, it's like overwhelming. But I think I have this strong gut feeling that I need to disclose this. I owe it to myself and to the struggle that I've had to do what I want. And what I want is to expose myself and let other people see the things that I've been, not only for me, but also for the people who are experiencing the same situation that I am currently experiencing. A lot of you might be wondering about the whole story or how I knew, what led me to ask for professional help, and how this actually happened, where it came from, whatsoever, yada, yada, yada. But if I'm going to tell like the whole story, it would take at least 3 episodes of podcast. So I don't think we're going to go that much into detail, but I'm going to try my best as much as possible to mention and tell you guys all about the things that are critical to this journey, as if like a lot of you will be interested. But yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm still validating my feeling, so that's always good. This is something that I've been going through my whole life. So I'm going to like cut them short. It's quite hard, but I'm really going to try. So one way that I thought of that could actually, mention all the essential things to my journey is to read you guys my therapy codigo. Now I might miss a lot of details, but still gonna do it anyway. So yeah, before I went to therapy, I've written down all the things, that I wanted to tell the doctor. I wanted all the things that I thought were, you know, symptoms or causes or just was a factor of what I was going through. And boy, was it long. Like, it is long. You'll see. I'm showing it to the camera right now and I'm still scrolling. You'll see that. So yeah, it's quite long. But here it goes. I started out with typing nervous and in doubt at first that what I was feeling or what I went through wasn't enough, and that what I was feeling were or that what I was feeling was invalid. But I need to try because I know that I am not okay and I want to be okay. I don't know if what I'm about to say will help, but I need to try. That alone shows the desperation to be well. I really wanted to be well, but even if I made up my mind to go and seek help and look for answers, I was still unsure if whether or not what I was feeling was actually real or valid. That is how extreme the situation was. By the way, all the things that I wrote on this like copy or like the script that I wrote for when I go to therapy were all written down whenever I feel something or I remember something. I really wanted to put them down because, as I've said, my mind isn't really on its best state lately. So going back, next I put I've had past experiences from childhood. It was rough. I had so many financial problems. We even resorted to pawning items from our house. We had debts, and I had to stop for like a year or so in education. I remember because out of high school, I wasn't able to go directly into college because of financial problems. And that really took a toll on me because I came from like a quite prestigious, prestigious school. Now I don't know how to speak in English. But yeah, I somehow came from a quite prestigious school, and of course, the my classmates were all like above like middle class. Some of them are quite rich, really rich, and I wasn't as fortunate as majority of them. But I didn't show it because, everyone was this way, so I was trying to fit in. But then right out of high school, my grandma, like the sister of my grandma, had a stroke and she had to go to the hospital for a long period of time until over time, it got worse and she passed. And with that, given our unstable financial situation, I wasn't able to afford to go to college and I had to wait like a year or so before I could enroll. And that really took a toll on me because I saw all these classmates of mine enjoying, being a freshman and posting all of their photos of being accepted into universities and wearing their uniforms. Well, I was there thinking of how hard life is on me and grieving grieving from what I've lost rather. And it was just I even remember thinking to myself that I think I'm a good daughter. I think I'm a good person. I think that I deserve to have like a life with happiness. I am not expecting like a life full of luxury at that time. But I was like, I study hard. I go to like part time jobs. I practice until like 4 a.m. just to do like dancing on the side or acting on the side. Or I even experienced doing manicure for people just to have like, snacks that day. And I work hard. I told myself, I work hard, but why is this happening to me? And I see all of my classmates, living their life. And some of them, I know that they are not as hardworking as I am. I know that sounds like quite bad, but that was what was running in my mind. And why is this happening to me? So it really took a toll. I think I was already experiencing those things even before high school. I knew that something was wrong. And I went on with my script. Let's just call it script for now. Script for therapy with I even thought at some point in my life that this must be a dream. I wrote this because I remember that I was still a child, like a child. Like we were having like a couple of problems with financial stuff. It was so nerve wracking. It was so stressful. And I just remember thinking to myself, this must be a dream. Like life could not be this hard. Life should not be this hard. This must be a dream. This could not be real. That's what I thought. It's like I was so out of sorts that I thought to myself back when I was a child, this must be a dream. And then I went on with, I wrote stress, then equal sign to chest and back pain, sweaty hands and feet, shaky and lightheaded, migraine, but manageable, parentheses, at least I thought it was manageable, close parentheses. I mean, enough said. Like, whenever I felt stressed, my chest and back would be in pain. It would feel so heavy. I've been experiencing this maybe since high school. Like, whenever I get stressed physically or mentally, I would feel like chest and back pain, and my hands and feet are always sweaty, like always cold. And I would be shaky internally, but like externally, I am not actually like literally shaking, but inside I felt like I was shaking. And horrible migraines, my dear God, I have been dealing with this for so long, to the point that no one can talk to me. Like, I don't want anyone coming near me. I don't want to smell anything. I don't want to see anything. I just want to lie down and like sleep. And uh, I can't even sleep because like the migraine is horrible. And I thought that those horrible migraines were lack of water, or maybe like I was just stressed, or maybe I was just like up too late, or I thought it was, something that I should go through. And I thought that those migraines were manageable. But girl, now thinking back, I did not deserve those hard times given by migraine. Like, they are not normal. They were not normal. They were horrible. Now, given all those things that I have been experiencing last year of September, I'm not even sure because like my mind is so clouded right now because of my meds. Just basically last year, everything got worse because my grandma passed. And not only did she passed right between my arms. Like, she died like a feet away from my face, like there. She breathed her last breath, and I'm like just here, staring at her. Like, I was staring at her. We were watching as life flew away from her body, like her soul was leaving the earth, and I was just like face to face to her. I was literally hugging her while she died. And of course, it was a really painful experience because it was also the peak of pandemic. So there was really not much that we can do. There were so many restrictions, so many limitations, and the anxiety of having to be careful wherever you go. You can't just let loose because like everywhere is danger, literally. So fast forward, I put right here on my therapy script, cremate, comma, no tears, period. Because when she got cremated, I didn't shed a single tear. Not because I wasn't sad, not because I wasn't devastated, but because I see how my parents were already having a hard time, because my mother and my uncle couldn't go home because they're overseas and they couldn't travel because of the pandemic. It's only my aunt, my brother, and me. So it was just literally like the three of us. And from the point of getting in the car and going to the cremation and until we went home, I didn't shed a single tear because I already see how much my family is struggling. And I didn't want to add up to that. I didn't want to be any more of a burden. I I didn't want to make their load heavier as it is. And I think this is also one of the major factors that really affected my mental health. I like suppressed those emotions. I was there like as they as they closed the curtains and like shove her into that crematorium. And is it correct? Is it called crematorium? Whatever. But yeah, then I wrote next, all for her. This is me pertaining to everything that I've been doing in life is all for her. And now what? No direction, so lost, unhappy. Those were the words that I put in here because this is so true. Everything that I've done in life were all dedicated to my family. Everything that I want to do, I always put them first. And when I lost her, especially her, I really wanted to graduate so fast. I want to achieve so many things for her because I know how happy it makes her. And when we lost her, I just lost this sense of direction in my life as well. And this reminds me of the TikTok that I saw once. Basically, what it said was that we all try to be so good for other people. We're a good daughter for your mother and father. You're a good sister to your brother. You're like a good friend for all of your friends, for your coworkers, for your children. But at the end of the day, who are you for you? And when I watched that TikTok, I it's like my heart fell to the ground because that is also one of the like most impactful things that I forgot to do for myself. Like I was trying so hard to be a good daughter to my whole family. I was trying so hard to be the best student, to be the best in everything, to be perfect in everything that I do. To the point that at the end of the day, when I'm laying there alone in my bed, who am I for myself? Like, what did I do today for myself? It's mind blowing. Anyway, moving on, what I said right here next is that after my grandmother passed, like a few months after, we started a business. So we started getting busy, and I was happy at first because we were finally like having financial stability. So that went great actually. We had more businesses, but along these businesses is more pressure and more workload, which I really like drowned myself in. My friend Kate actually always tells me that you are the busiest person I know. And I would even tell her that, you know what? I feel like I have like 10 children. That's how busy I am. After a few months, I got this part time. It's just an online part time, but it still requires like intellectual skills. So whenever I'd work on that, of course, when you're using your mind, actually, for me personally, when you use your mind, it's a lot more tiring than using your body for something. So along this part time, I had school, online school. So it was also hard to adjust to that. And then after I finished my academics, I went on to have this online OJT, like online under the training. You get it. Plus also, the home responsibility. So I was juggling all those things. I'm the one who cooks at home. I manage majority of the business. I oversee the bills, the budget, and then I have school, and then I have OJT, and then I also have like a part time. So you guys could imagine the amount of work that I was doing, and it was a good way to keep. I really can't speak today. It was a good way for me to keep myself busy, but I think that I went too much. I really drowned, and when I say drowned, I did drown myself on work. And I thought to myself, I'm so blessed. Yet I would sleep at 5 a.m. and I would wake up at 8 or 10 a.m. because I need to do all the things I have to do. So that became a routine. I couldn't sleep at night, literally couldn't sleep at night, like not a hint of yawn. I could not feel a hint of yawn. So I'd sleep at 5, then wake up at 8, like have less than 3 to 5 hours of sleep. And that became a routine. And I was so unhappy. I was just so unhappy. I had no will to move. I had no motivation, though I know that I had to do like business things that kept on going, but like for myself and the things that I really want for myself, I did not have the motivation to do. I was doing the business because that's for my family. We need that. It also makes my mom happy. It also makes my aunt happy. It makes us survive. So I really had to do that. But at the end of the day, for me, I had no motivation whatsoever. And I would think to myself, I'm so blessed. Like, this is what I want for my family. All along, I would go to and fro from school. Did I just use to and fro correctly? But basically, I would go to and from school praying the rosary and just praying with my whole heart to Lord, please give us the financial stability that we deserve. Give me the capabilities and the ability to give the life that my family deserves. That's like my number one prayer. And I thought to myself, this is it. I'm starting to do all those things for my family. Why do I feel so empty? And why do I feel so lost? There's just this hole of nothingness in me. Why is it there? Right when I am starting to realize everything that I've been manifesting my whole life. So let me just sip a cup of tea because your girl is starting to get tired. Going back, as I was feeling very lost, I noticed that my procrastination is starting to get worse, a lot worse. Whenever I have an idea, I would overthink to the point that I would just end up not doing it. I completely forgot about myself. And if ever there would be like an action towards improvement, like maybe I would work out, I would like edit vlogs, or like do anything for myself, it would be inconsistent. Sooner or later, I would just end up not doing it anymore. I was feeling all these, but somehow I can't show it to my parents. It's like there are so many things that are going on in my mind. I want to do this, I want to do that, but I can't. I don't know why. I'm just so unhappy. I'm so empty, yada, yada, yada. And I can't show it to my parents because my mindset is that if I show this to them, they're going to be worried. And that's the least thing that I want to happen. So, yeah, when I finished my online classes, that meant that I had to go through with my online job training. And that means that graduation is almost there. Ow, I just hit myself. That means that graduation is almost there. It's a knock on our door. So when that sank into my mind, I literally like pressured myself. It was a lot to take in. I was struggling because I am struggling with my passion, and I don't think this is a shock to anyone that really know me because my passion is really in performing and content creating, though it might not seem that much, but it really is. I want to create videos. I want to establish my YouTube channel. I want to be on social media and turn it eventually into a career that I would succeed in. But my mindset is that I do not want my family to go back to the financial crisis that we had. I cannot afford to make a mistake, which is why I actually took up the course of culinary because at the time I thought that it was a sure win. Whether or not I get a job on like an establishment, I could still manage to do like have my own business and whatsoever. And my actual plan is to have like a business established before I graduate, and then maybe I can pursue, the career that I want, which I am currently doing, but I'm still so frustrated because I am unsure. What if I put effort into it and it would not turn into something great. I had this huge pressure on my shoulders to just get everything figured out, like everything, especially knowing that I'm about to graduate, which I am now. I'm finished with my online OJT. I'm just waiting for like the announcement of when the ceremony is going to be. And if if I were not taking medicines, maybe that's where my head would still be at because I was so hard on myself thinking that you're about to graduate. Like, this is it. There's no room for screwing up. You need to know what you want to do with your life. And I'm 22. And before thinking, when I was like 15, 16, I probably was telling myself, oh, when I turn 22, you know what? I'm going to have like a job and like I'm going to have like everything figured out because I'm going to be like an adult and I'm going to be like matured. Hello, young Abigail, like you're none of those things. So yeah, all those pressure, all the struggle with wanting to figure everything out and wanting to have everything sorted out, it manifested into physical pain. Now, I think I've mentioned that the business was going really well, that we had like 5-digit orders from like resellers, distributors, wholesalers. And with all those happening together with the stress and the pressure, my lower back, it started with my lower back. But also like I was already like experiencing the chest pain and back pain. But I started to notice that something was really wrong when my lower back started to act up. It was not just something, oh my gosh, I can't bend over, like my lower back is in pain. I could not walk without limping, and I could not sit up for like 5 minutes or longer. I need to lay down because it is so goddamn painful. The pain was insane. Like, it was so painful. I can barely walk. But at that time, I was carrying like 25 kilos sack of rice. I was defrosting freezer like in the middle of the night, and that would like take about 30 minutes. So I would like bend over for like 30 minutes and imagine what that does to my lower back. Also, I would like bring deliveries and like carry like bags of groceries. And I know some of you might think, what are your parents doing? Please know that my parents are not pressuring me to do any of these. These are all my choice because I want to be of great use. I want to be of great help to the situation, to our family. This is what I want. I want to do things for my family, and maybe I went a little overboard. But yeah, that was like one of the wake up calls for me because the pain that I was experiencing in my lower back was not normal at all. I healed because like I got a massage. But honestly, lately it's been acting up again because I've been like going back to my usual routine. But anyway, I wrote here, this is very interesting. Comforting words, they have no effect. I know their intentions, but they have no effect anymore. Because, of course, I've tried to open up to some of my friends, even to my family, but like I only shared like the surface of what I was thinking. And they would tell me, you can get through this, you just need to be strong. I'll pray for you. You just need to pray and do this, do that so you can feel better. Or like, we know you can do it, we believe in you. I know their intentions. I know where they're coming from. They just want me to feel better. And I appreciate that because they're listening as well. But it has no effect in me whatsoever. It does not cheer me up. It doesn't have that effect, the effect that it used to have. They were just words, empty words for me at least. But I appreciate them, but they're not doing anything for me anymore. Then I wrote, then last month it all started to hit me. Oh, just when you thought those were the things like that like really hit it for me. No, 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 no. I would have sudden urges to break down, unusual places and time. I already experienced this before, but this time it is absolutely worse. It was physically painful because before, of course, when I lay down in bed or whenever I'm alone, especially when I'm really unhappy and I'm having one of those like attacks, I would like get teary eyed and like have a heavy chest and I just really want to cry it all out. And then I would suppress it because, someone might walk in or whatsoever. But then as time passed by, especially last month, it would occur on random places, on random times. Like when I'm going to get something from the fridge, or like when I'm watching like a funny movie, or like when I'm going through my phone, or like when I'm cooking, or even the randomest moment, I would get the urge to cry and I would suppress it every time. And it was already physically painful for me to hold it in, especially here in the nasal area, like the bridge of the nose. It would get so painful whenever I tried to hold it in. There were so many red flags, but I kept on suppressing them because you know what? I think to myself, this is normal, like you're just going through something and later on you'll like be fine. And then one day, as if things aren't personal, one day I woke up and I had like a horrible, like really horrible stiff neck. It was so horrible to the point that as the day progressed, in the evening, I couldn't sit up straight anymore. And the pain spread to my shoulders and my upper back. It was so painful that I couldn't really move my head and I couldn't stand standing for so long. I couldn't stand sitting without anything supporting my neck. I had to lay down. I couldn't do anything, but I still did a lot of things because I had to and I wanted to because resting is a no, 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 no for me because I feel like resting is a waste of time before. So yeah, it was horrible. So then after I quite recovered because I really couldn't do anything well, was in pain. I decided to go get checked up because I know that the strain on my shoulders and the pain on my neck and the upper back and then the lower back and then the chest thing and the back pain, they were already like shouting in my face, shouting in my brain, like, there's something wrong with you. I think you're depressed. I think you're stressed. I think this is anxiety. But you know what? I told myself, we're not really sure. So let's just get checked up first. So then I got checked up. The doctor even told me, like, are you married? Like, do you have kids? Do you have children? Why are you overworking yourself so hard? And I said, because I really, literally don't know what to say. She was like, you need to rest. And here, this is what you need. She gave me a medicine called stress tabs. It's like the universe saying that, hey, newsflash, you're stressed. So, yeah, anyway, moving along. So, I was taking vitamins. It's actually like a vitamin, it's not really like a medicine. I thought it was all going to go back to normal, I'm gonna get better. But again, as the days gone by, I started to have very short attention span, or I easily get distracted whenever I'm trying to be productive. For example, I would do exercises for my online OJT and I couldn't finish it in one sitting. I remember, oh yeah, I was busy doing the narrative report because we were going towards the end of our online OJT and we had to finish this narrative report. That was also a really eye opener for me because I am known for being fast. Sorry. I am known for being fast and quite brainy when it comes to words, especially in English, and when it comes to essays and reports and like academics. I, this is not bragging, okay? This is a fact. Like, I love essays and I love researches. I love writing articles. I even worked part time before doing like articles for money. That's how much of a nerd I am. When it comes to narrative reports, doesn't matter if I have a reference. I can finish a paragraph so quickly that I can finish a narrative report like within a day, 2 days maximum. And my God, I was so confident that I would finish the narrative report in one sitting. But then when I sat down and faced my computer, I can barely finish like one section in one sitting. That's how horrible my mind was at the moment. I would finish a paragraph, barely, and then I would go through my phone, and then I'd go up and do something else, and then I'd go back, and then I'd do other things first, and whatsoever. My attention span was horrible. It was at its worst. I also wrote here that I had loss of appetite, but then sometimes I can't stop eating. Oh my God. I am known for being very conscious about my weight. Well, not my weight, but like my health. And especially during the pandemic, I was really into working out and I into intermittent fasting. I wanted to be at my best. I wanted to look great for myself and I wanted to be healthy. I am taking all the vitamins. I don't usually eat dinner. I don't usually eat fatty foods whatsoever. But when I was feeling all of these, there were times that I do not want to eat anything, like I only eat once a day. And then there were also times like I couldn't stop eating. Like I know they were bad for me, but I just like kept eating because when I'm not doing something or like my mouth or or like my mind or even my hands are not busy, it would feel not right. So what I do is I will have at one point I had 6 to 8 pieces of ice cream in one day. And that is not healthy. I would have like 3 pieces of ice cream today, and I would have like 4 pieces tomorrow, and other days I would have 8. That's how unhealthy I was. I was just stress eating and sometimes not even eating. And then I wrote here picking of hair. I've had this since elementary, and my parents were aware of this. They would even like reprimand me for it because I didn't know before that it would be like a cause of stress or anything, but when I was a kid, I would pick my hair. And when I pick, I mean pick of hair. Like I had like a bald spots like as big as a quarter, as big as like a 10 peso coin or even larger. I even had like a bald spot this big. And when I grew older, it lessened, I think. It got better, but whenever I get like really stressed and really anxious, I would still do it. Like I pick my hair, I would like have bald spots this big, like a dot. And one time I even went to the salon and they were like wondering, what is this? Like there's a spot in your hair that has shorter strands of hair. And I was like, well, I had nothing to do with that. Like I also wrote here picking of pimples or scabs because again I can't take it when my hands are not busy, especially on idle moments. I would pick my pimples or scabs. That is why I had severe acne and until today I think you guys can still see like scars and even like pimple marks. And again, I can't sleep and I had constipation and I had no energy most of the time. And ooh, this is very interesting. Sometimes stuttering, bad memory. I literally wrote that because I think it would not be a surprise if I'm about to say that I am in love with performing in any form of performing, be it public speaking, hosting, or like in acting. And that requires like you need to be fast on your feet. You have to always be on edge on what to say. You have to always have all these paragraphs or anecdotes in your head like ready to go whenever there would be like a dead air or you just really need to be fast and quick when it comes to words. And I'm usually like that. I know my capabilities, I know who I was. And when it comes to things to say, I am one to go to. But lately, your girl has been really stuttering. Like, I would just, even now, as you can see on my podcast, I'm not as fluent as I used to be. There are things that I want to say that it would take me a minute to word it out. Like, for example, I want to get something. I would ask my aunt, can you please get, like, literally stuttering. And it would really, like, take a minute for me to describe or at least say the exact name of what I want. It's really hard because I want everything to be fast and I can't because, like, I'm struggling because my mind can't think of the right words to say. And also, like, the bad memory, oh my gosh, it's really hard, especially when you have a business because you have a lot of things to remember. And I've been really struggling with that. I can't even remember when I walk into the room what I would get. I've been saying this a lot. Like, this is like one of the most eye openers, but like majority of these are like essential and like real hardcore eye openers. So I wrote here, recent experience. I got a message that made me so nervous that I sweat extremely on my hands and feet and I felt shaky internally and I had this sharp pain in my left chest area. That is one of the most painful thing I've ever experienced. I had this message on my phone. It popped up and it's from someone that I didn't expect to message me at the moment. And I was so anxious and I was so fucking nervous that my hands and feet, actually not only my hands and feet, my whole body started sweating. Cold sweat and I wasn't able to move. And then the next thing I know, I was shivering inside, but like outside, I couldn't see my hands shaking. And then a quick, sharp, very painful pain went through my left chest that I couldn't even inhale or exhale. Because whenever I try to inhale or exhale, it would hurt like hell. I can't even like express to words how painful it was. I couldn't breathe to the point that I had to call my aunt because I couldn't move for a second. It only took a second for me to like get back to my normal breathing, but it was so painful. And then going on to the conversation as if I didn't experience like any severe pain. Next thing I wrote here is recently when my dog died, because recently a very dear dog of ours passed. And before it happened, I felt this extreme uneasiness. And after that, after they told me that, Brude has passed, again, there's this sharp pain in my left chest area, and my hands started sweating, and also my feet started sweating again. Again, shaky internally. And then the strain on my shoulders started to act up again. And I lost my focus. I had a slight, very slight feeling of wanting to vomit. I didn't palpitate, but my heartbeat were hard, like dug dug. Like I can hear them. Like you could just put your hands on top of my chest and you could already feel them pounding really hard, but they weren't fast. I think it was because my body remembered what happened when my grandma passed. It's like my muscles or like my body remembered the pain, the devastation, the panic, just the sense of losing someone that you love so much. I think it all went back to me. Like my body started to remember that and it was like a knee jerk reaction, like a defense on whatever was happening. So it started acting up. I don't know. I might be wrong. But yeah, that's what I think what happened. And then last week, my aunt was noticing that, hey, you look a little down. And because prior to this, I was already like trying to open up that I've been feeling this and feeling that. I'm not feeling quite well. I think I want to go to therapy. And thank God my family is very supportive. And then the next day, I think my aunt told me that you don't look really well. You look like you want to cry. Like your eyes are telling anyone who looks at them that you want to cry. And that, oh my God, I was dumbfounded because I wasn't aware that my body was acting up so much that it was already telling other people what I want to do without me knowing, because maybe I've suppressed it too much. So when that hit me, that, hey, you look like you want to cry. And I thought to myself, I do. I want to cry. So then I went to the restroom. I tried to cry it all out. And to my surprise, almost nothing came out. You'd think that I would bawl my eyes out. You'd think that I would like claw my eyes out because of crying, but no, almost nothing went out. Maybe like a tear or two came out. And like the cry wherein you could just hear like a voiceless scream, like, that's all what I was doing. There were no tears, but my chest was so fucking heavy. I want to let it all out, but nothing would come out. And I didn't know what to do. Like, should I be satisfied? Should I be worried? Should I feel relief? It's like, what just happened? I thought that I would like release so many things, like release so many tears, but almost nothing came out. And after that, literally the next day after that, I fell ill, horribly ill. It wasn't COVID. I think what it was is like all the stress and everything that I've gone through, everything that I wanted to let out affected my body. So as you can see, not much came out of my eyes in terms of tears, but I think my body took the fall. I was ill. My chest was so heavy. I literally felt like I was dying, but I just wasn't showing it because that's like a huge part of my personality. Even if I was going through something difficult, I would show to everyone that I'm quite fine, I'm doing well. I can do this. I can get back up, but I literally felt like I was dying. I was very ill, heavy chest and like just so ill, no energy. My nose was full, but I didn't have any cough. I didn't have any fever. It's just like, you know, it felt to me like my body was just acting up, like literally acting up, just acting up because of, you know, it was my body's way of releasing all the things that had to be released. Not a lot of you may know this about me, but whenever I would get sick, I would just drink medicine, or even if I don't drink medicine, the next day I would be up and running. I would feel great already. I don't get sick for too long. I barely get sick. But that time, it took me a week to recover. But on the fourth or fifth day, I think, I was still quite sick that day, but I'm feeling quite better. I woke up and I still remember this. It was 3:33 in the morning. 3:33. I woke up at 3:33. I woke up at 3:33, but I remember now that the like a couple of days before that I was already waking up at 3 a.m. But on the fourth or fifth day, I woke up at 3:33. I woke up, reached for my phone, so it was 3:33. I just had this feeling, extremely overwhelming feeling. It was just so sad, so devastating. I couldn't explain it. Those are the words that are like the closest, but not exactly would express the way I felt that day. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to bawl my eyes out. I wanted to cry my eyes out. And I wanted to make my aunt. But I couldn't because, again, I do not want her to feel worried. And it's like the day isn't even starting yet. Doesn't matter how many series I tried to watch, I couldn't sleep. There's this feeling of nothingness, but at the same time so sad, and it's like so devastating. It's so heavy on the chest. I it was a feeling that I can never ever forget. I think I managed to force myself to sleep at around like 6 a.m. And mind you, I was feeling very ill at that time. And I was taking medicines that would like make you feel drowsy or make you feel sleepy, yet no amount of sleepiness was felt. Next thing I wrote here. I think this is the major thing that made me break down. It was like the trigger of my breaking point. You see, as I've said, we have business, and a day before I broke down, we called this supplier, and she is a 17-year-old girl. Just it's her side hustle. Like she sells things to have like her own money for her tuition and whatsoever. And when my aunt called her to ask for the delivery, I heard her voice. It was so cheerful. It was full of innocence. It was full of passion, of fire, of motivation, of hunger for success. It was beautiful. Like it was so genuine. And I thought to myself, that used to be me. I used to be that girl. That used to sound like my voice. That was my voice before. That's how hungry I was for success. That's how happy I was. Even if we were in the middle of crisis, doesn't matter how many problems we faced, I was so happy still. I was so driven before. And I thought to myself, what happened? When did I start to lose myself? It was so quick that I don't know when was the turning point. Like, when did it actually start? Because I've been experiencing all these things way, way back. But I am deep, deep down right now to the point that I'm wondering what made me be this way. I felt like I missed that person. And I was wondering, what can I do to be that person again? I missed the feeling to hear like the cheerfulness in her voice. I used to have that. Whew. The next day, I had a very bad migraine again. And in the evening, I still had the migraine. Very, very, very bad. Like, I didn't even want to smell my brother. I didn't even want to smell food. I didn't even want to smell white flour. I don't want anything around me because at any moment I know I would pass out. I know I would vomit or something bad is going to happen if just a single thing that would not agree with my migraine would happen. I was sweating in places I never thought I was able to sweat in. Like my whole body. I was hot, yet I was cold, yet I was sweating, and I had this blanket over me. I changed multiple times because I was so wet in sweat. I'm not exaggerating. This is literally what happened. Oh, did I mention that it was like the death anniversary of my grandma? Like the first grandma who passed. It was her first. It was her anniversary. Oh my god, it was her death anniversary. And I remember that whenever it would be her death anniversary, I would feel a little sick. And, the elders would like to think that when you feel sick or when you feel heavy, whenever someone's death anniversary or birthday of someone who passed is near, that would mean that they're with you. And I think that's what happened as well. And also, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I just have to butt in for a second. There were multiple times that week as well, the week that I felt extremely ill, that my aunt would tell me that for a moment when she looked at me, she looked like she saw a ghost. And I asked her what's wrong. She told me that she saw my grandma, that passed last year, in me. Like she saw my grandma in me. She didn't see me, she saw my grandma. And when another neighbor of ours, she would pray with us for the death anniversary of the grandma that first passed way before. She told me that when I answered her when she came through the door, that it wasn't my voice. She heard the voice of my grandma who recently have passed. So I think it has something to do with that. I don't know, it's quite crazy. It's a bit of a stretch, but I'm a very spiritual person, and I think that might have something to do with it. I think that they did not leave me until I didn't release everything that I had in me, all the burden that I had. I was just sweating all over. And the moment that the migraine stopped, I was I was like tucking my head in, and then my aunt sat beside me. And then the moment the migraine stopped, I opened my eyes. And there's like something in me that said, okay, now let it all out. Like this is us telling you to let it all out. And then I remembered the first sentences that I told my aunt before I completely broke down. I think I wrote it here because I want them to be as correct as possible. The exact words were, gusto ko nang maging okay. Gusto ko nang maging masaya. And in English, that means I want to be okay and I want to be happy. And after saying the first sentence, I cried like a baby that is left by his or her mother. I cried and I cried hysterically. I broke down to the point that after I've broken down, my eyelids were twice their size. And recently, my aunt told me that when you broke down, your lips were turning black. That like they had no color in them. They were like drained of blood. They were black. That's how hard I was crying. Because I literally just let it all out. I told them everything. And we called our mom, and she saw me just like hysterically crying. Like I couldn't stop sobbing. I was shaking externally now. I was shaking externally. I just let it all out. I said, I want to be okay. I want to be happy. I remember this. I used to be that. I was real. I never saw myself cry that way. And I never even thought that it was possible for me to cry that way. It was so severe. My aunt told me that she was so worried what would happen because she didn't know what would happen. And I was out of breath, like I couldn't breathe, to the point that I was crying so much that to the point that I couldn't even breathe. And after that, believe it or not, the sweating stopped. No more migraine. And the heavy feeling on my chest was still there after, but to tell you, it was a lot lighter than it used to be. I will never forget that. That is the first time I exposed myself to my family. Like, that was the first time that I cried that way to my family. And after I've broken down, it felt like a burden because, at that point, like, okay, now my family knows something is up. Like, they now really, really know that something is up. And I know they're worried. I know they are. And it's really hard because, of course, they would walk on eggshells around you. But realizing now that it has to happen. It had to happen. And then lately I realized that ever since I was a child, resting just doesn't feel right. Like taking my time to rest and give myself time to relax was just, it didn't feel right. And my mindset before is if I'm not struggling to do something or if I am idle, it's not right. I would always feel like I'm running out of time. Like I need to do this, I need to do that. So instead of resting, for example, I would take some time to just sit and rest. But like my mind is telling me that you need to do this, you need to do that. While you're resting, you're wasting time. So even if I'm resting, I would just turn out to give more time for myself to sit around because I would just get even more stressed. And sometimes it would end up me not doing anything because I am trying to calm myself down, but I couldn't, so I would just resort to more time of me sitting and torturing myself with the thoughts that I have in mind, if that even makes sense. Also, it's written here that lots of ideas, but I can't manifest anymore. I think of failure even before doing it. Huge example of this is vlogging. I've been deeply addicted to YouTube since Lloyd Cafe Cadena was making all those skits of what waking up or mga eksena or like skits, just basically skits, like his very first few videos. And I was also deep into YouTube when PewDiePie wasn't even on like 5 million subscribers. When Miranda Sings was still doing side to side videos with herself as Colleen Ballinger. But it took me like years and years to upload the very first YouTube video that I made. And I didn't even post it on my social media. Like it had like 52 views because I wouldn't post it on my social media until one day my classmate discovered it and that made me think like, you know what? Why didn't I share it? Because only then did I have the courage to show it to everyone because that's me. I can't deal with change. I don't deal well with change. Does that make sense? But yeah, before I do something that I really want, especially when it comes to things that I'm really, really passionate about, it takes me a long time to make up my mind and do it. And that is actually what I'm working with because it's not like something that I'm going to do this. It's not as easy as that. It's so hard to explain. I have like a process and like I self criticize and self sabotage and whatsoever. It's not easy to conquer that all at once. It says here, I used to be an on the go performer. Now I'm so afraid to try. Even simple math, I think over about it 3 to 5 times. I am so unsure and always second guess myself. This is so horrible and yet so true. Even simple math like 7 times 3, I would rethink, like think it over for like 3 to 5 times because I'm so unsure of myself now. I have no self esteem whatsoever, I think. It's just I lost my confidence, self confidence. And again, not to gloat, but I know myself. Like my part time is using my mind, using my skills in speaking, my intellect. And my friends used to call me walking Google or walking dictionary because whenever they want like a specific word to describe something, they'd go to me because I just give them the exact word they need. But now I can even like think of the thing that I wanted to get in a particular room. I can even get the exact word I want to say out. And it's really hard. And even my part-time boss, she noticed the change, and I'm so thankful to you. I know who you know who you are. I'm so thankful to you that you understand and you're so considerate and so kind in dealing with me and for making me feel that you're always there for me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. So, as a result, I started to lay off some responsibilities even before I went to therapy, and I just basically lay low and taking it easy. It's a lot better. actually, because there are times that I just don't want to think of anything. But then there are times that I think about every single thing. But I was still unhappy. And it is a cycle that I want to stop and I want to be happy. I even put in here, I thought the situation that I'm in is not enough, but I really want to be better. I want to stop the cycle and be genuinely happy. If I don't, I may be happy now, but sooner or later, I know I'm still going to fall deep down. And I even wrote here, even when waiting, I want to cry because I'm so nervous. Because I remember when I was waiting in the waiting, I can't even, like, because I remember when I was waiting for my turn for the therapist, I was almost hyperventilating. Like, I was having a hard time to relax my breathing and compose myself, and I was crying, like on the verge of breaking down again because I was so nervous. I was reading my therapy codigo or my therapy script over and over again. I was so anxious. I was just so anxious. That basically is like the things that I wanted to tell my therapist. Oh my gosh, imagine if I really did tell all those things to my therapist. Good thing he cut me off like halfway because it would like take me like 2 hours. And after that, after all those things, voila, I am now medically diagnosed. Is that a thing? But yeah, now I am diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. And the doctor's explanation is that there are chemicals in my brain that are low. I think it's serotonin and dopamine, like endorphin. I'm not really sure. You guys can just go ahead and Google it. Because I was really like out of my mind at the time because I was so nervous. But yeah, basically there are chemicals that are too low in my brain, and when my grandmother passed or along all those stressful things that happened in my life, they went even lower. Basically they're happy hormones. So when it comes to giving myself relaxation and trying to be happy, it's harder for me compared to other people. So I guess that's the scientific explanation. And when the doctor told me, it could also be hereditary. The doctor also told me that this is your assignment. You need to know, maybe there's someone in your family who also feels this way, felt this way, or was always this way. And actually, yeah, like my mom, my grandmother, and like my aunt, they're all like always nervous about things. When the doctor told me that, you know, you have clinical depression, anxiety, all those symptoms, all the things that you just told me, they're symptoms of clinical depression and anxiety. I didn't know actually what to feel because, like, we were already expecting it. But the way he explained it to me, there was this sense of disappointment, but relief, satisfaction, yet I'm still disappointed because there's something in me that knew that that was what he was going to say, that that was what I was going through. But I was so disappointed because what I've been through is so complicated and it's such a struggle and it's so hard. But the way he explained it, it was just so easy. It was so simply put. And I couldn't comprehend that you're telling me that you explained it in less than 5 minutes, but it took me my whole life to get the courage and get professional help and be honest to people around me that I'm going through something. It's quite hard. But now I'm taking medications, and I think I'm going to cut the podcast now because I have Q&A and like a lot of things, bonus things that I want to mention, but I think I'm going to include that in the bonus clip because this is way too long. I want this podcast to be as intimate as it can be. So I asked some of you guys to send in some questions, things you're curious about my mental health, my mental health journey, or just like mental health in general. I compiled all those and I'm going to be answering all those in the bonus clip that is going to be uploaded next to this. So watch out for that. This has been AJ Sammy, and I hope you guys learned like a few things from this. because I'm like saving up all like the motivational stuff on the bonus clip. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you reached like the end, if you managed to watch until the end, thank you so much for staying with me. And if some of you are worried, if you know, I can get through this. I know I can. And if you guys need financial assistance in seeking professional help, feel free to reach out because I can like suggest the doctor that I went to because it's really affordable. It's not that pricey. Basically, if you guys want to talk about mental health, I'm always here, and it's better to seek professional help if you can. If you can't, there are always ways. You can just reach out to me. We'll figure it out together. And this has been AJ Sammy. Thank you so much for watching, and please always remember that I appreciate you, every single cell in your body, every single cell in your existence. I appreciate. And please know that you are worth it. You are worth every success in life. This has been AJ Sammy bringing you the Sammy Podcast. See you in the bonus clips.
Semi podcast. It's like a podcast, but like not really. Thanks for watching, and if you had all the patience to go through all that mess in that podcast, then make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, and hit the notification bell as well so that you can get like notified for like other episodes of this trash podcast and like maybe vlogs or I I don't really know, like I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but go ahead and subscribe. Thanks.